Hey, Eugene here. Today I'm going to share my workflow of how I get Google to trust my websites much faster by showing them EEAT, which is expertise, experience, authority, and trust signals. In my vertical form Instagram videos, you hear me talk about EEAT signals. You hear me talking about visiting clients and actually recording and interviewing them and asking them questions that get them to talk about their business. Well, today I'm going to share the kind of questions that I ask and my general workflows of editing. I use CapCut, Descript for removal of like filler words and trimming things down, making sure we're writing things correctly. But most importantly, I'm going to share with you where things and why things need to begin from these Google documents. These documents essentially is Google's guidelines of what it considers quality content, and we're living in a really, really cool era of AI and ChatGPT, and normally, it would take someone a long time to go through a 170-page document on ratings and how Google rates quality content. But essentially the workflow is one, we create a list of, I personally create a list of 100 interview style questions that stem from these three documents. So this document is an overview of search quality rater guidelines, talks about essentially what it wants to see if you want to make a website more trustworthy from the Google perspective. You need to prove expertise, experience, trust, and authority. Doesn't matter which one comes first. There's also another document here called Google Helpful, Reliable, People First Content. Now that just stems not only on the blogs, on the home page, on the About Us page, on the Teams page. You want to make sure that all of these dot points are catered for. Now, the beautiful thing is that these days you can load these PDFs into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT will, like here is a quick summary of this Google search document. It will say that you must demonstrate expertise. How do you do that? Create high quality main content, ensure that content is well researched, detailed, tailored to your audience, and should show deep understanding of the topic. Now, a lot of the time, the business owner is such an authority in the space that just getting them in front of the camera and a 1 to 2 hour sit down casual chat interview, record that interview, then process that interview, you get some really, really good outputs. Now, if I'm just to sort of reset a little bit, I personally use this content for a number of things. One, we get to the source of truth about all of the services and offerings. We get to the source of the journey of the business and why they do what they do. What did they, what was the reason they started their business in the first place? Not only do I get to spend some good time with either the business owner or someone senior in the business, and I build meaningful relationships with them, I understand more what this business does, what kind of leads do they need. Then this content, the transcript of these videos, I then use to help me create main page content, which are things like service pages. I use the transcript to create About Us pages, About the Team pages. All important pages on the website use this content. Then this content is actually trimmed up, and snippets of it are used in sales pages. So if we're going to be firing up a Google ad, we use the landscape versions of these clips as a landing page that is designed to sell, convert, if it's a Google ad or a Facebook ad. Then if you record what have we got here? In this case, it is 1 hour's worth of recordings of me interviewing and asking the questions. We've got potentially 50 to 100 little micro snippets of 45 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minute, 10 minute, little clips that can be sort of recycled for vertical reels, for social media, for LinkedIn. This could be landscape. So in this case, I filmed in 4K. 4K allows me to trim to a mobile, and it will still, if I grab here and just type in 317, it will still look not too bad for vertical clips. So I hope that makes sense. So what I use this for is there's infinite benefit of creating baseline videos. Now, I'm not a video production studio. I don't do video production. This stuff just needs to be done. So not having this versus having this, huge benefit. No doubt you hire a videographer, you hire someone that knows this stuff, but a lot of the time they don't know how to drive the ship, whereas I need this stuff done for SEO purposes, for branding purposes and whatnot, and I need this stuff done to get leads for the client. Another reason we use these videos is we use them on the Facebook ads, and sometimes we trim them up into vertical reels and then we run the reels as the Facebook ads. So just another reason to do this. So everything that I'm about to show you, at the end of the day, this is not something I bill for. This is something that I do as part of my campaigns because they need to be done. Some companies will have dedicated videographers. They're big enough, they can afford it. They will get a production crew out there and film things. Other clients are just too small to have something like that done. So I'll come out there. A lot of the time I'll use my phone. You know, in this case I've used a Sony a6600, you know, SLR camera with a basic blogging lens. I've got some DJI mics and things like that. So I do what I can do for clients that are too small to afford, you know, video production services. So if now we understand the reason of why I create this content, this is the sort of stuff that I'm capturing. I want to demonstrate expertise. I want to build experience. I want to establish authority. I want to foster trust and rating quality based on search quality rated tasks. So in other words, we want to cater to all of these things. Now, a few prompts later, you can actually, these are the sort of questions. I must uncover insights in the business services. These are prompt questions. Now, based on the services offered by this business, here are 100 general questions. What I like to do, I actually like to send ChatGPT or an AI crawler to crawl the website, and based on its homepage, about us page, team page, actually personalize these questions. So it's like, can you describe the primary purpose of your business? It might reword that a little bit to be more suitable to an accountant or a builder. But the core of the questions are the same. So we've got 10 questions in business overview and purpose, 10 questions in expertise, industry knowledge, 10 questions products and services, customer experience and trust, reputation and authority, company culture and team, processes and operations, customer and market insights, content and community strategy. Now, a lot of the stuff, a lot of questions are skipped. Every business has different things that they do and don't do. You know, a lot of the time, me asking, you know, these 3 questions up here, meaning they will answer some questions down there. A lot of the time, these interviews aren't, this is not a robot, it's not robotic, it's just a conversation. If they're not comfortable looking in front of the camera, they'll be looking at me and the camera will be right next to me recording them. But these are just talking points. Now, for the specific client, I might narrow things down even further. Now, I don't have those questions here, but for example, I'll just do 100 questions on particular industries that they look after. In other words, if it's like an accountant or a bookkeeper, talk to me about, give me some interview questions on your work for franchises, for hospitality, for restaurants, for retail, for legal, for other industries, right? So the questions are more niche specific to the kind of bookkeeping or accounting services, in this case, they do for that industry. So these are the questions. This is how I come up with them. They're not set in stone. If the person's not comfortable answering them, don't try and maul them. Move on to the next question. Then I load it into CapCut. Look, I love Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects. I was big on lasers and all of the lightsabers and stuff like that. I just can't flaw the workflow in CapCut. I'm not here to comment on which one's best, but for me to just load in 3 quite large videos, put some filters, some really, really basic filters, and I'm going to show you exactly what I press in just a second. Now, this is just the raw footage. What I mean by raw footage, I don't do any kind of edits on this timeline anymore, because these days I do all my timeline edits not on the timeline. I do it based on text. So here's a previous video that I actually recorded with my phone because the SLR camera, not mine, but it overheated. Quite an expensive camera at that. But I do the editing on the removal of phrases and certain words and stutters and ums and ahs, and I actually do the editing side in this app. It's called Descript. Really cool app. I might do a separate video on how I personally use it. Now, if we come back here, if I delete these filters, this took me less than 5 seconds to set up. So what I did, first of all, I loaded the 3 tracks that I recorded. I'm not going to comment on the setup and lighting and stuff like that. I'm sure this can be done much better. But for a business to not have this and then have this, it will go a long way. So first things first is in CapCut, if I load the video, there's a whole bunch of really cool settings. One, if the audio had echoes or issues with the audio, I can enhance them. I can reduce noise. Incredible. Another client had an air conditioner behind them, and you could clearly, like, every now and again, the air conditioner will turn, bang, it'll just blow into the microphone, and it was just, or there was traffic, and this kind of stuff really goes a long way. Reduce noise, enhance normalized loudness as well. I use that a lot when I'm riding the bike, and I might be passing traffic and stuff like that. But there's some really cool stuff with AI retouching. So for example, on the skin, I selected this option called smooth, whitening, and even. It just did some really micro, kind of like applied the tiniest bit of makeup. Now it's hard to tell because in this case the video wasn't as zoomed as what I normally do, but the reason it's not as zoomed is so I can use this video potentially on a vertical export, because if we can, it's still great quality like this. That's why it's best to record in 4K wide, so you can get that vertical cut if you need to. Now there's so many filters here, I'm not going to go through each one. The one that I like to use is calm. I apply the calm filter, then I do so the filters are up here. This isn't a video about CapCut. If you want to learn about CapCut, I'm sure there's millions of videos out there. I just personally use calm. Sometimes I might dial this down to 70. In this case, 100 is fine. Then what I do is I add an adjustment layer, which is this one over here, over the top. And this adjustment layer, what I've done here, as you can see, here it's off, here it's on, here it's off, here it's on. So this one's a little bit contrasty. I've dropped the contrast, made things a little bit lighter. And I also, what I did, I dropped the skin. The skin was a bit too red. I dropped the skin color, and I love popping my greens. So pop the greens if there's any greenery, just makes things look good. Didn't touch the zero blue, but I can make that zero blue stand out more. Don't want to do that, don't need to do that. Maya looks good like that as well. So the other thing I did, I moved up the brilliance just the tiniest bit. I actually don't know what the difference between a brilliance and exposure. If I do the exposure, let's see what it looks. I think it's almost the same thing. Exposure is quite good as well. I might just do 5 here, and then another 5 here, for the sake of it. Looks great. I think it actually washes things out a little bit, but I'm just going to leave it like that. That looks great. And so look, the other thing that I do, I just want a little bit more extra focus on the subject. So I do like a chrome blur. Now normally this chrome blur is like gives you the chromatic, what do you call it, chromatic aberrations. Chrome blur, lateral chromatic aberration. So it should look like, like this. Like in movies, you got the red, white, and green. In this case, we don't want that. And I usually like to have a bit more of a blur here, but it's like we're zooming through light speed, but I don't want to do that. I want to leave it at 3. So there's like a micro blur here. So it just makes you focus more on the subject, makes the video pop a little bit. Now in this case, Julie was more comfortable looking at me, so I had the camera beside me. It's on a bit of an angle. Once again, I'm sure there's millions of ways that this scene could have been set up better. The goal that I wanted to achieve is to get trustworthy website content in the form of text, which comes from the transcript, and then if any of these videos are usable, they'll go up onto YouTube. Hopefully they are usable, and they'll go up onto YouTube. YouTube then gets embedded onto the website and so forth. So you can imagine a website where, if they're talking about bookkeeping services, bookkeeping for tradies, there's a video that just talks about bookkeeping for tradies. It's going to have much higher engagement. It's going to do much better on conversion. Good, I speak good England. Higher conversions if someone does land on that page. So after this is done, I export the video. Did I miss anything? Music doesn't get layered on here. But then I load the clip into Descript. I'm not going to do too much clicking here, but essentially Descript grabs it puts I add the captions, as you can see here. Captions are added. Then what I do is I remove filler words, and I remove retakes, and I shorten the word gaps. If you've ever seen any of my videos, they just kind of trim straight into the bits. Like this video might be processed in the same way, where you only there's not going to be any quiet down times. I just did it then. What I did, I just paused between the words. And what it does, it just cuts that quiet bit. So you're only going to get words on the screen. It's really, really cool. I can select these a few words here, and I can remove it completely. So cut it from the video. So conventional video editors, you're editing on the timeline based on seconds and time. This video editor, you're actually editing based on words, which is incredible when there's 1 hour's worth of footage, like a seminar that you've captured, and you just want those snippets. There is a really cool AI tool here where it will attempt to make little reels for you. I haven't found that to be good, to be honest. It makes mistakes on determining what is important and not important. Those one-click exports you 5 reels type of scenarios. This can do that. I just find that it makes mistakes in what it chooses to be quality, and sometimes misses the overall point. Because if you're trying to compress a 10-minute video into a minute 30, I think you need to really be the one responsible for choosing what words get exported out, and AI is just not there understanding what we want from it. It's got some eye contact. It'll keep the user, their eyes glued to the camera, and it will send to active speakers and other cool stuff. So that's my workflow. I export it out. Then at the end of it all, I will have a big Google Drive with lots of clips, and then from there we might make vertical clips. From there we make social media posts, ads, and things like that. Hope that's been helpful. Anyone that hasn't gone through this journey, I strongly recommend you do it, whether you are running marketing for your own business, small business. If you do this, you are instantly one up on any business that hasn't done this. So I can't stress how valuable this is from a SEO perspective, from a trust perspective, from a conversion perspective, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Now, not to say that if you do this, you're going to instantly rank. This will simply add to the barrel of beneficial trust that you might receive from real people who are genuinely shopping around for your services. They listen to you speak, and they're like, oh, you know what? This person's approachable. They sound like they know what they're talking about. They're not stuttering their way through it. Nothing's scripted. She's talking to the camera. I'm going to book this person. I've had some really, really good feedback on videos that I created like this from a building inspector. This dude, strong Russian accent, very passionate, very knowledgeable. It's like he's literally got people that watch his videos like, we watched your videos. We want you. You know what you're talking about. We trust you. Whereas we weren't able to really gauge what we're going to get with other companies. So that's the overall benefit. Hopefully this video has been helpful. This is my first video where I'm actually sharing my screen, showing workflows. If you like it, you want me to do more of these videos, what do they say? Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. But honestly, just message me and say, hey, that was really cool. Show me how you do this, and hopefully I'll allocate the time to do that. I'm extremely time poor, so I'm trying to teach, make internal processes, share value with the world, and then help my clients succeed. Thank you. Bye-bye.